From the click of a mouse to the swipe of a screen, the way we consume music has transformed dramatically over the past few decades. But no company had more influence in shaping the digital music revolution than Apple, with a product called iTunes. In this video, we explore the rise, evolution, and eventual decline of iTunes. This is a story of how Apple put 1,000 songs in your pocket and changed the music industry forever. It all began on January 9th, 2001, when Apple introduced iTunes at Macworld. But here's the twist: Apple didn't build it from scratch. iTunes was actually based on an MP3 player software called SoundJam MP, which Apple quietly purchased in 2000. In a world still dominated by CDs, Napster, iTunes was a simple desktop app for Mac users to rip CDs, organise MP3s, and burn custom playlists. Steve Jobs called it a way to make your digital music library cool. It was clean, fast, and easy to use. Everything users expected from Apple. Two years later, Apple launched the iTunes Music Store in April 2003. This was a turning point, not just for Apple, but for the entire music industry. Before this, digital music was synonymous with piracy, but Apple offered a legal, affordable alternative, 99 cents per song. No subscriptions, just download and own. And the music industry, surprisingly, they got on board. Apple secured deals with all 5 major record labels, offering 200,000 songs at launch. Within a week, Apple sold 1 million songs. Within a year, over 70 million. The store was tightly integrated with the iPod, Apple's sleek new MP3 player, creating an ecosystem that was addictive, legal, and stylish. Through the mid-2000s, iTunes became the centre of Apple's digital hub strategy. You could sync your iPod, organise your media, buy music, TV shows, and even movies. In 2005, Apple added podcasts. In 2007, the name changed from iTunes Music Store to just iTunes Store to reflect its broader offerings. That same year, Apple launched the iPhone, and iTunes became the backbone of syncing and updating your device. If you had an iPhone or iPod, you had iTunes. It was also around this time Apple introduced iTunes U, free educational content from top universities, and iTunes LP, a short-lived attempt to make digital albums more immersive. In 2010, iTunes had over 10 billion songs, cementing its place in digital history. But with success came problems. As Apple piled on features, iTunes became bloated and slow. What started as a lightweight music player had turned into a heavy all-in-one media suite. Many users complained it was confusing and frustrating to use. Managing iPhones and iPads through iTunes also became increasingly clunky, especially for Windows users. Meanwhile, the music world was shifting again. Streaming services like Spotify, launched in 2008, were gaining traction. Users were moving away from ownership and toward access. Why pay per song when you could stream millions for a flat monthly fee? Apple tried to adapt with iTunes Match in 2011 and later Apple Music in 2015. But by then, iTunes' golden era was clearly fading. Finally, in 2019, at the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, Apple officially announced the end of iTunes, at least on the Mac. It was split into 3 separate apps: Apple Music, Apple TV, and Apple Podcasts. The monolithic iTunes was no more. The Windows version hung on for a while, and iTunes still exists in some form today. But its era as Apple's centerpiece was over. It had been 18 years since its launch, nearly 2 decades of defining how the world brought and managed music. iTunes didn't just sell songs, it reshaped the music industry. It taught consumers that digital music could be convenient and legal. It gave artists a new platform. It even helped fuel the rise of podcasts, a medium now worth billions. And let's not forget, iTunes laid the foundation for Apple's service empire, now one of its most profitable business units. Sure, it became bloated and obsolete, but without iTunes, there would be no Apple Music, no Apple Store, no digital media landscape as we know it. It was a product of its time and one that changed the times. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the history of iTunes. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like and subscribe for more tech history deep dives. And tell us in the comments, did you grow up with iTunes? What was your first downloaded song? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.